Are you interested in abstract art? Or maybe you're an artist yourself? If so, keep watching, because I'm going to be sharing some thoughts and insights into my own creative art process. Now, many people know me for my music, but I'm also a visual artist. I'm an abstract painter, collage artist, and sometimes a printmaker too. Now, creating art is a natural gift for me. It's something I enjoy doing, and I always have, and it's almost as important to me to create art as it is to make music. So it's very important, and I've been looking at ways of how I can merge the two together and create something that involves the two elements together on this channel. Now, recently I was working on some 20 by 20 inch canvases, the 50 centimetre squares, and I stalled at one point, and I thought, well, I'm not loving what I'm doing here. They're not working, except this one here. Now this one, I'm quite satisfied with it. I like the way this one's turned out. It's in a happy place, so I'll keep this one. But I feel that I'm in danger of repeating what I was just doing 2 years ago or so. And I feel like it's time for me to move on now. Whereas with these 5 pieces here, I'm not loving them. They're not going where I was imagining they would go. I was trying to make something happen with them that just wasn't working, I felt, and I feel that I need to rethink my approach on them. Now, I had a breakthrough when I was doing another exercise. Now, with these works on paper, small works on paper, I just set myself a timer for 30 minutes and just threw the paint around and explored what I needed to express, and I just enjoyed it. I had the time of my life, and I really like the way they've turned out. They're very expressive, they're exciting to me personally. I had a lot of fun doing them, and this is where I want to go, I feel, and incorporate more of this into what I'm doing generally. So I feel like I can bring more of that into the work I've done on these canvases in order to take them further. Now, in the creative process, I feel like the best work happens when you're in a creative flow state. And a lot of that is channeling things from the subconscious and letting flow what comes out to express itself in your work. And I was put in mind of Surrealist poet Andre Breton's idea of automatism, where you're just letting the creative side of you express itself without any thinking or conscious thought whatsoever. Let the ideas flow and without thinking, basically, and just let the subconscious take over. And there's an element of that that goes on in creative flow states, but that's also balanced with some critical thinking and assessment and judging where you need to go next. And the two can't exist at exactly the same time. They're different parts of the brain that work, and there's a kind of conversation or maybe a dance that goes on between two, where they're like throwing the ball back and forth to one another in the process. And it can happen quickly or more slowly and deliberately. But there's a fine line here, and the balance needs to be struck. If I try to control things too much too soon and try to force something to be something that it doesn't really want to be, like if I love a certain part of the picture and I try to make the rest of the picture conform to that, then it's not going to work, and you have to let go of those bits that you think you want the picture to look like, or how you envision it even at the outset. I feel that my best work happens when I let go of all that control and push out into the water and see where the current takes me, and you end up in some surprising places that you didn't foresee in the beginning, and the work that you never dreamed possible before, let you see something about yourself that you didn't know before, or make discoveries that you just wouldn't have thought of before. You have to push out of your comfort zone and just be willing to explore and being uncomfortable and being uncertain about what's going to happen, and go with that flow and let the art express what it wants. And that's where I feel my best work happens. So that expressive, intuitive side balanced with the critical thinking, assessing, internal editor side, as I like to call it, the internal editor. I feel that both sides need to become more intuitive, where your critical thinking is also a bit intuitive, so that you're not thinking too hard about it. You're just making judgments in the moment without too much conscious thought. Because if you try too hard, things don't work out the way you envision them. So it feeds into that idea of there's 4 levels of skill or competence, where use unconscious incompetence, where you don't know what you don't know, so you're just ignorant to it. And then there's conscious incompetence, where you know what you don't know, but you can't do it yet. And then there's conscious competence, where you know what you know, and you can do it, but you have to think about it. And then there's ultimately unconscious competence, where you can do what you do naturally without having to think about it. It just happens intuitively because it's become a part of you. And that's where creative ease happens and creative flow states occur and your best work happens. And that's what I aim to get into when I'm creating. And that can happen sometimes, but when I'm not in that state, then things go awry, and I'm guilty of trying to force something to be something it really doesn't want to be. So it's best not to go there and just let it be what it does want to be. And that means getting out of your own way, getting out the way of the work expressing its true form, and allowing the work to be and say what it wants to say. So what I aim to do with these works, I'll keep this one that I showed you earlier, I'll finish it off, seal it, and because I feel it's a statement of what I've done up to this point, it's the best statement that I've done so far on this. So I'll keep that one as a record of that, and with the others I'm just going to shake them up. They need some shaking up, and I'm going to mess with them and just totally mess them up and see where it goes, express myself, because I feel like that's what needs to happen, because I'm just not loving them what they are, so they need to become something that they need to become, whatever that is that I can't see yet. So I'm going to let that happen. So I'm going to be experimenting on these and seeing where they go, and I'll share the process with you. So if you're interested in that, keep following along. See you soon.